Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about ArrayList as well as LinkedList, right? So let's just get started on that. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to create a new package. I'll just say I'll just call them lists. I should probably change that to lowercase letter lists. In here, let's go ahead and create a class that's called linked list ArrayList. Okay, we're going to go over both of them together. Okay, cool. And this is also one of the most very common interview questions as well, the difference between ArrayList and linked list. So yeah, let's just get on this thing. So let me just create a couple of different things and then I'm going to talk about them. Okay, so in here, let's go ahead and create a linked list, right? Let's just call them my linked list equal new and linked list. Okay, and then we also have let's just put a string over here. Okay, so in here, let's just do ArrayList. Let's do string my ArrayList equals new and ArrayList. Okay. Okay. So the linked list and ArrayList, at the end of the day, they're very similar to each other. It's like just like visually, it's almost impossible to tell the difference other than just having the two different names, one called linked list and another one is called ArrayList, right? That's the only difference. Otherwise, it's really hard to tell them the difference. But they actually are, both of them are actually built differently for different purposes, right? So let me actually write down a couple of things so we can go from there. So let's do my linked list, right? And I do dot add. And in here, let's just say one, right? Let's just call it one. Then again, my linked list dot add. Let's call it 2. I know it's very silly, but anyways, I'm just copy this so I don't have to do it. 3, and let's say 4. Right? Let me just copy that. I'll just paste that here. And the only difference is going to be over here, instead of my linked list, it's going to be my ArrayList. Okay? My ArrayList, my ArrayList, my ArrayList. Okay? As you guys can tell, these are exactly the same, right? So let me just actually let me just do this thing different so you guys can see the difference. 6, 7, 8. Right? Right now, they're both exactly the same thing, right? I'm just doing my linked list dot add, my ArrayList dot add, right? There's literally like no difference whatsoever in that. It's exactly the same as it. So why should we be using linked list, or why should we be using ArrayList, and when should we be actually using this thing, right? So they're both, as mentioned, they're both very similar, but yet they're both built differently. Okay, so ArrayList, let's actually write down a couple of definitions, maybe. Not definitions, but let's just write down a couple of notes over here. Okay. Array list or linked list. Okay. So array list is good for retrieving data, okay, as well as for accessing, which is basically accessing or storing data. Okay, if we have something that we just want to put it in one place and not change it or anything, obviously, in that case, array list would be the best thing. Linked list, however, is good for if we want to manipulate the data, right? Good for adding or removing data. Okay, this is to manipulate data. Manipulate data. Okay, so linked list in here, if we wanted to add more, right? If we wanted to add another one, like my linked list.add, let's say I do 5, it's very, very simple. It's very easy to do. Whereas with an array, as you guys know this already, right? They're both coming from list anyways, right? But at the end of the day, whenever we have arrays, if you guys remember the array lesson, right? All the arrays, they have a set, how do I put this? Their size, array size cannot be changed, right? So because of that, we can, so let's say if I do a string, right, and I do this, and I do, let's say, my array or something, my array equals my array string, okay, fine. And then I do new, and then st string, right? Over here, if I say 4, that's it, right? Right now on this one, I cannot add additional items on this specific array, right? Because on this one, on this my array string, on this thing, I'm defining that this has specific set of values. Same thing on the array list, it already has a predefined value. So over here, I have 4 things over here. Now, if I wanted to add an additional one, right? Let's say it's a production application. In that case, I wanted to add another one. Obviously, I can't from there, right? So what it does, if I change the length of this, it basically creates a brand new array element. So this array list, my array list, they'll create another one that'll have a different criteria or different size. Okay, and obviously what that does, and if I'm adding or removing or anything like that, it has to recategorize all these things all over again. So for smaller data, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to just take this thing out. For smaller data, it really doesn't matter if we have a linked list or an array list. They're both basically very quick. But if we have millions and millions of data that we're working with, in that case, linked list would work the best. Okay, so the reason linked list would work the best. So another thing about linked list is linked list is also known for its doubly linked list, right? What that means is that it has a reference, okay? This means is that it has a reference with the next and the previous element. Okay. So what that means is that, let's say this one I have over here, right? It has a connection with 2. And same thing, 2 has a connection with 3. At the same time, 2 also has a connection with 1. And then 3 has a connection with 4. And 3 also has a connection with 2. 4, in the other hand, doesn't have anything after this. So there's nothing. It's just null. And then 4 also has a connection with 3. So the reason it's called doubly linked, think of it as from a chain perspective, right? Whenever you have chain, in any sort of chain, it links with the previous one. So if we wanted to add anything over here, right, or remove something, it'll just remove this and it'll just automatically just put them in their right place. It doesn't really need to create a new array list like it does over here. Okay. So, and another thing here, I'll just put this back. Another thing is, what is the similarity between them, right? So let's just go over those. The reason they both look similar, right? The reason ArrayList and linked list looks similar is because they are both part of Java collections, and they both implements. Hopefully you guys remember the keyword implements. So they both implements the list interface. Okay. What that means is, here, if I just do list over here, right? Again, you can see this. So within this list, I can say string or something, doesn't matter. My list equals new. And again, as you can see over here, right, there's so many different options. You have array list, you also have linked list, and all these other ones. So this array list and linked list, they're both part of list, right? So it's part of this list interface, as you guys saw that again, right? Not only list, but it has this array list as well as linked list. So yeah. So hopefully this makes sense, right? And again, if you wanted to print out some of this, you can. Here, let me just check this thing out. If you wanted to print out something from here, you could have done s out, my linked list, and you can say there are a few different options actually on the linked list. Linked list, you can actually do either add, or you can actually remove, or you can actually get a specific element. Like this with this get, you can do this. At the same time, there are few additional things that you can do, which is get first, get last. There are few other ones that you can do. I think it's like remove dot. Yeah, so there you have a few of them. So one of them is going to be like add first. This thing, add first, add last. Add first is basically we'll add an item in the beginning. Add last will basically add an item at the end. There's also get first and get last. So it'll automatically get the first index or the first item of the list. And then get last would basically get you the last item in the list. And then there's also remove, okay? And then right there, remove first and remove last. And it does exactly that. It either removes the first one or removes the last one, whichever one you want. Those options are not available for the array list. So if I do, let's say, get first, right? Get first, I have 1, right? You guys saw that there. So if I was to print this out, it gives me 1, right? That's the first one. Now, on this, if I was to try to type in the same thing, let's say my ArrayList dot get. See, I don't even have that option, get first. It's not even there. The only thing I have access to is get index, which is accessible to both this one, my linked list, as well as this one. So if I just do this again over here, as out my linked list dot get, same thing as this. So if I was to select, let's say 1 and 1 over here, again, as you guys know, it's 0, 1, right? Everything starts with 0. So 0 then is this, 1, then 2, then 3. Same thing, 0, 1, 2, 3. So in this case, what I'm expecting, it'll give me this, it'll give me 1, and then because I'm also getting this first one, which will also give me 1 and 2. And then for this one, for the ArrayList, this is get 1, so it'll give me 6. So let's go ahead and run this. There you go, 1, 2, and 6. Okay. And that's how you would get them. And obviously, like I said, there are other things that you can do. You can remove them, you can add them. You can add items to it. You can access an item, accessing item, which is basically this get. And if you can also set an item. Set is basically adding or modifying something. So you guys can just practice that on your own, and obviously remove is removing. So hopefully this was helpful and you guys understand the difference between linked list and array list. So again, just to reiterate, the main difference between linked list and array list is basically what is the main purpose of the program that you're trying to do, right? If the program is about just accessing a specific data, then obviously in that case, ArrayList would be the best option, because over here, right, as we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, and if we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So this 4 actually has no connection with 1, right? I'm sorry, this 4 has no connection with 2, right? So in that case, what it does, it starts with 1, right? So it basically does this. So it has 1, right? And then, so what it does, so it has 1, right? And 1 is going to 2, right? But 2 in the other hand, right? 2 in the other hand, let's say, let me see, then 1, then 2, right? And then let's say 3, right? So what it does in this case, the second one, right? It's this, okay? 1 has access to this. There's nothing prior to 1, so it doesn't matter. It's null, basically. So you have null over here. There is nothing for 1 over there, null. And then this 1 has this 2, and 2 in the other case, right? 2 in the other case, it has a chain connection with this 1. At the same time, it has a connection with 2. Right. So if I have millions of data, it'll have to go through this exact way, right? If I have 1, 2, then 3, right? And 4, it's the same thing, right? Now 3 has access to this. Okay. So again, it just follows this roadmap all the way through. And now imagine how much time it'll consume, how much memory it'll consume. Whereas with this one, whatever data I need, I can just get that specific data, right? So that's what we were saying. Even though they both look the same, but they're built differently. They're built very, very, very differently from each other. So linked list, how they're different is that linked list, this would be good if you guys want to if you guys want to manipulate data, right? Right here. If you guys want to manipulate, I'm sorry, right here, linked list, if you want to manipulate the data, in that case, use linked list for adding, removing, whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do that. For this thing right here, though, for ArrayList, for this one is that if you guys want to retrieve a specific data, so in that case, this would be good because, again, it doesn't have the doubly linked or the chain connection, right? In that case, if I wanted to just get this, I will just get this. This 7 doesn't need to have any relationship with 6 or 8. It is irrelevant. Whereas with the linked list, it does make a difference. These 3 have access to both 2 and 4. So yeah, hopefully this makes sense. If it is too confusing, just please drop a comment. And don't forget to like, subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.